All right, welcome to CISO podcast listeners. When I clicked the button, there's like this pause in my video, so I was like, I don't know if I just froze. All right, so this is what you get when you do things.
I was laughing at Jordan's mouthing it.
Online. Yeah.
Jordan was mouthing it as you were saying.
All right. Well, this is the CvCISO. Thank you. This is the CvCISO podcast. This is episode 42, I'm told, and it's Meg's topic this week. And Meg, what's the topic?
So what's been on my heart lately is, and I was telling the guys that I've had some young people. So these are people that they took some time off from high school because they're struggling with what they want to do with their life, or they graduated from high school and they want to go to college. And the question has been, what do I do? I want to get into cybersecurity. What are you doing, Jordan?
Did you hear that? There was like a ghost in the machine. It was like, it was like a demon.
All right, play that in reverse and see what it said.
Kill your dogs now. What? But I like my dogs. Fuck you. Kill them. That was weird.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about just what kind of advice would we give these young people that want to break into the industry.
Young like me, like in their 40s?
No, like young in their 20s. Or even
mentally or physically, because mentally I'm 16, physically I'm 109.
Physically.
Well,
birth date. By birth date.
I don't remember my birth date. Was there a birthday? Was I birthed or was I hatched? I don't recall. I don't think I was there. I had to have been there.
It's part of
you
being born
kind of
is
being
there.
You're an alien. You're very unique. So you might have been hatched.
Was hatched.
Sent on this earth to wreak havoc.
And to your point, Maggie, this isn't a question, I've been asked throughout my career, 30 some odd years in this industry. And it's still, how do I get in how do I get in? How do I break in?
Right.
And now I'm hearing more and more from people who have already been in this industry who maybe got laid off and are trying to find a job.
Their niche.
Yeah. And I think, and they're not getting hired. They have skills. So I think the job market, for one, I think recognizing what you're walking into, the job market in cybersecurity is messed up. So, because I think it becomes like, if you're trying to break in and you're applying for jobs and you're not getting the jobs, I think it's natural to feel like, well, what's wrong with me? Is there something? Number one, I don't know if it's what's wrong with you or if it's what's wrong with the industry, meaning us. But breaking into the industry, there's no one way into the industry. I think what's always helped is being authentic and sharing your own stories of how you got into this industry. Because there is no one way, there is no formula to break in. There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different scenarios that you could find yourself here. But I always give the turn back and like, why? Why do you want to get in this industry? Because having a really strong purpose is going to help you persevere over the negativity, over the hurdles, the walls you're going to run into. Figure out a why and then stick to it.
Yeah.
Remind yourself regularly, maybe even write it down, that this is why I want to get in this industry.
So if there's a young kid and let's say they're just now asking, how do I go about getting into the industry? They haven't started any schooling. They're just curious. They like working with computers. They're good at computers. They rebuild them or whatever it is. Then, I've always wondered, is college the right path? Or does a 2-year degree at a technical college suffice? And then maybe focus on certs, because we're really big on certs in this industry.
Unfortunately, that's one of the things that's actually broken. At the end of the day, if I'm hiring, we've hired lots and lots of people over the years. There's two things that I'm starting with. Number one is I have a need. There's a specific set of skills. There's a specific role that I need to fill with specific responsibilities. And so it starts with that. And in our industry, I don't think a lot of hiring managers necessarily start well there.
Yeah.
And then translate that into, an employee or potential employee, will they provide value to me in that? Right? It's like, if you take the human element out of it, it's like, I need eggs. Why do I need eggs? Well, because I need the protein. I like the breakfast thing. So you figure out the why on the hiring side. Yeah. And so then I go to the market, right? I go to the shopping center. I go to the farmer's market. I go wherever I go to go try to get eggs. So whether it be on a hiring thing, it might be LinkedIn, it might be Indeed, whatever the market is. And I want to find what I need out of my eggs at the cheapest price. That's the buying mentality, right? So when you as the employee or the potential employee, you're the product. So how do you demonstrate that you're the best egg ever? I fit every single one of your requirements and I'm not overpriced. So that's fitting into this, just the supply and demand, taking the feelings, what do you call that? It's being logical about it. But I think you have three people here, me, Jordan, and you, Meg, that have our own stories of how we got into this industry. Why don't we share that? And then, because some listener is going to be like, oh, okay, I could see that path. Yeah. And then we can get into these other, I think, more detailed discussions, like, do I need to have a college degree?
Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I have some thoughts in that area, but we can start with the how we did it, because I'm thinking even when we get to that point in the show. So stay tuned, hit like, share, and subscribe while you're at it. And when we get to that point, because we just hired someone, and we come across people, and that, cybersecurity, the amount of people that we interview where cybersecurity is kind of what they are saying they want to do or they went to school for or whatever, there's a lot of them, and so I'm anxious to kind of talk about that side of it, how we kind of filter through those resumes and stuff. But I can start, if you guys want me to start, on how I got into it. For me, I was out of high school. I was kind of a not really sure what I wanted to do kind of person. I went to community college, kind of 13th grade, got an apartment with my friends and just kind of played broomball and just had, did school, but kind of just was having fun. And then after a while, I decided I should pick something. Went to Anoka Hennepin Tech, picked like the digital stuff. I always liked computers. When my dad first got a computer, I was like one of those guys playing with paint and all the different like games that came with some of those first, computers that were in households. And then I went to Anoka Hennepin Tech and built my own computer and started kind of playing around with that. I did a lot of like video editing and stuff, just kind of messing around and having fun. And after the 2-year degree, I got a job at Quest. This is like I applied at places. I applied at places that were way over my experience. Mm-hmm. And I had a handful of interviews. There's one in particular where the lady was just candid with me. And I appreciate it to this day. They did like a personality assessment on it. She told me like, we're not hiring you and here's why, kind of comment on a comment that Evan made before the show, but like she told me why. And she kind of mentored me in the 30 minutes that I had with her. She went over my personality results. She told me what my first impression was based on what I was wearing to the interview and stuff. Like I left there, not getting the job, but kind of learning some stuff about myself.
That's excellent advice for all hiring managers.
Yeah. Holy shit.
And then I worked at Quest.
Sorry, I have to pause. Hummingbird just flew in and stuck in right here.
In your house?
In my house, yeah. So I got to go get this hummingbird out because I really like hummingbirds. So you guys continue, please. My God.
Take us with you.
No, I can't.
That would have been cool to take the camera and show like as he's.
It might be kind of an analogy of how you get in the industry is how do you get a hummingbird out of your house is the same as the dog's barking too. But anyways, I'll to make kind of a long story short. So I started at Quest as like a frame attendant. Like this is not anywhere near what I thought my career would be at that time. I'm just taking it was a decent job, and I started there, and then I started looking through their employment manual of different jobs that you could aspire to and how to get there. But at the end of the day, I ended up starting my own business for a variety of reasons. You know, when I was 23, I started High Tech Computer Solutions, and just because I had an opportunity, I had to move to a small town out of Minnesota, like, to do it. But it was a start. So then I'm kind of learning technology. I got Microsoft certifications and stuff, and from there ended up getting into cybersecurity basically by just, you know, first I was learning all the technology stuff, the IT stuff, and starting a managed service provider, and then realizing that security is important. You know, I didn't put security first from the beginning. It kind of dawned on me, you know, probably in like 2007, 2008, and then the CISSP mentorship program is what kind of catapulted me into the cybersecurity field. You know, so my experience is a little bit different because it's like I wasn't going out trying to get hired. I had kind of an entrepreneurial mindset and just building my own thing.
Yeah.
But to get into cybersecurity, for me to actually get respected and stuff, it started with, okay, I need to learn this stuff. I need to get a certification, which, you know, I have a lot of opinions on certifications and whether they mean something or not. But for me, it gave me confidence and exposure and connections to people that then fueled the passion and gave me avenues to continue to grow there.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll kind of leave it for me.
That's awesome, man. For me, I'll hold off to last because, Meg, I think you've got a very inspiring story to share as well. Mine is, I'm an old timer. So, you know, sharing I'll save it for the end. I think it's interesting and it probably entertaining, but I'll leave it for you first.
Yeah. So for me, I spent a lifetime. I mean, I'm retired from K-12. So I retired from the industry. I would say I retired early because I just knew the direction that the K-12 world was going was something that I just couldn't support anymore. And I felt like we were doing a disservice to children versus truly helping them to function in society. And so I started thinking probably about 5 years before I actually retired, how much longer can I do this? I don't know if I can do this much longer. And then like CRT came into the picture and there was like mandatory attending these CRTs. And then I won't even go into the details of what they did during that training. But it was racist, in my opinion. You know, there was just a lot of stuff like that was happening and happening quickly and different things that you had to adapt within your schools if you wanted funding. And, you know, there's just a lot going on. So I was praying, and I was just like, God, if this is something you want me to do, then you're going to open my eyes and help me understand. And one day I was on the computer and something popped up about cybersecurity. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting because, you know, I love computers and let's just explore. And so I explored and I learned, oh my gosh, there's so many different ways that you can enter this field. So how do you choose? You know, how do you understand what to choose? So I started to pray that if this is truly the route you want me to go, and usually when I'm in a decision-making process, I ask for affirmation from God. I want you to confirm that this is something that you think I should do. Within a couple of days, my husband came to me and he's like, you know, Meg, here's something I think you'd be really good at. You know, we got a guy in his current, well, his old employer that's really trying to get our industry, our company in line with CMMC. So he's kind of doing like this audit thing and, you know, and I was like, without really knowing what exactly that meant, I felt like that was God's affirmation. Because if he would have said, go into it and be like a help desk person, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to know how to help somebody. I don't have that technical experience. But performing audits or assessments, that's something I can embrace. And so I went to they called it a cybersecurity boot camp, which I know the term boot camp has its own issues. But it was a 10-month program through UW-Madison. And I would say that I was somewhat at a disadvantage because I didn't have any experience. And most of the people in my class, like 90% plus, they were people who had been in the industry and were seeking to go in the security way. So when it was over, I just thought, well, what kind of job can I get? And I was looking through the website that I recommend to people on a regular basis is the cyberseek.org/pathway and that.html. That helped me. Okay, I know I'm a beginner, so I'm at the entry level column, and here's some of the things I like to do, and security analyst came up. So I started focusing on that type of role and then started to network. And I just reached out to the few people that I knew that were in information technology, and a guy from church said, hey, Meg, there's a job here where I'm working and I'm retiring soon. And they've kind of shifted because they were having a hard time filling that job. So they've kind of shifted the expectations of that job, and they want to start more at that entry level. And I got the job. So I was super proud of that. And it was I was only in there for a short time because they wanted me to go through the CvCISO course. And then Evan, you and I were talking from there, and now I work here. But that was kind of my pathway.
We poached you. That's cool. That's awesome, Meg.
Yeah.
For me, it was, there's a lot of young people. You have to start with, are you sure this is what you want to do? I think there's a lot of pressure, especially in the younger folks, to choose a career and choose a pathway, maybe before you're ready to do it. Before I got into this industry, I was a stockbroker, a bartender, a warehouse worker, a furniture installer, a loan officer, a bill collector, and a warehouse manager. And all within a short period of time, because what I was truly looking for was something deeper than just getting into an industry. I wanted to find out what my purpose is. If I'm going to choose a career and I'm going to devote the rest of my life to it, I want to make sure it's the right thing. Is this what I'm called to do, or is this just another job? And because if it's just a job, people are going to pick up on that, and when things get tough, you're probably more likely to fold. You're probably less fulfilled. You're probably going to have, I would think, more mental health issues, maybe. It's just a bad way to get started on the path, right? So I would, number one, are you sure you want to do this and why? Start doing some research on it then. Like if this is what you want to do and you're convinced 100% that you want to get into the cybersecurity industry, well, then do some research. What are all the different roles that I could fill, that are possibilities, from audit to governance to training and awareness to hacker, because you see so many of the new people that get into this industry or want to get into this industry, they haven't started there, first of all. And there's a huge number, there's a not proportionate number of people that want to be pen testers. Like that's the way into this industry. That's a way. And it's the way that too many people are trying to enter into the industry. I don't want a pen tester. I've got pen testers. Pen testers are people that are grown, it's a path in and of itself, but if you're not built to be a pen tester, then why the hell would we take you down that path? You know what I mean? So If I was going to be a hiring manager, I would be very interested in knowing, can I rely on you? Are you a person who's really committed to this? Like if we ask you to do things that are uncomfortable, that are going to push you into places you haven't been before in the name of growth and in the name of providing value for the company. Are you going to fold or are you going to stick with it? Because I'm not going to put forth the effort unless you're willing to put forth the effort, so there's all of that. I got into this industry on accident, really. I had technical skills because my parents were both in IT. I was a hellraiser, still am, just more legal now. So I
feel like you're
I've
kind
always,
of a heaven raiser too, though.
Yeah, maybe. But I've always been comfortable with breaking things. I think so many people aren't comfortable with breaking things. In this industry, I like breaking things because then I can figure out how to fix it. Because in order for me to figure out how to fix it, I have to figure out how it works. So there's a lot of curiosity in breaking stuff and fixing it. And a lot of people are afraid to break stuff. Oh my God, I've taken down an entire defense contractor for 2 days straight because I didn't know how to switch out a disk drive that failed in a RAID array. And this is very early on when there wasn't any documentation on how to do it. I mean, this is pre-Google, right? So you couldn't just Google it. You had to get comfortable breaking shit and putting shit back together again.
Yeah.
And at the same time, under immense pressure, because you took the whole company down for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and I remember it's those times, it's those days that I remember today that make me, I think, who I am today. I think a lot of times we try to avoid that. We try to avoid discomfort. But in this industry, the more comfortable you are with discomfort, I think the better you become, because the industry is so messed up. There's so many things that are broken in this industry that need to be fixed, so are you the kind of person that can fix it? But getting into this industry was by accident. My last job outside of tech or IT or security was the warehouse manager role. And they were just implementing their first computers, right? So it was an inventory thing and whatever. And being that I had tech experience, just hobby things, the CIO at that time noticed how, I kind of had a knack for it. Mm-hmm. And they were going to, I was getting 10 hours a week of overtime. So it was a substantial amount of income, and they were going to take away my overtime. And I was like, well, then I'm out of here. And so the CIO was like, well, instead of you leaving, how about you join, the IT team? You seem like you have a knack for this. I'm like, okay, whatever. And he gave me a ton of advice at the time. It was, I was like, well, what should I learn? What should I read? And he said, everything. I'm like, what do you mean everything? He's like, consume everything you can. Trade mags, websites, books, just learn. Just never stop learning. And I love that. Then I got fired from that because I was configuring a a SCSI controller, SCSI card. And back then it was dip switches. There were physical dip switches you had to flip on the damn cards, and documentation was shit. So it was a lot of trial and error, right? So you'd flip the right switches, and it would take like 20 minutes to get there to figure out if it actually worked or not. So I fell asleep during that thing. And so at the same time that the president of the company happened to walk by my desk. So that got me fired. And
you
then
literally fell asleep.
I literally fell asleep.
You literally fell asleep.
Did he understand how dip switches work?
No. He just knew that he was paying for somebody that was sleeping. And then my next job was with IBM. And with IBM, it was cleaning boot sector viruses off of Windows 3 machines, like many thousands of those machines. And that was super boring, super mundane. I didn't have any, looking back then, I didn't think, oh my God, I'm going to be a pen tester. I'm going to be a great security person. It wasn't really even a thing. Security, we didn't call it security. It was just tech support, basically. And I got fired from there too. That's a whole nother story. I think because I just didn't fit in anybody's box. And then I became a system administrator, learned Windows NT really well, got my MCSE back then. Didn't really like Windows even back then because it just seemed so fat, bloated, overly complex. but I was getting paid well. And then I went to, started really learning Cisco networking, got all my certifications for Cisco, except for the CCIE, because I didn't want to go take the practical piece of that. But I started teaching Cisco stuff. So anyway, it was just this long winding pattern. And then from there, it was Jask Software. We made Paint Shop Pro. That was a fantastic job because they were kind of bleeding edge on the way they thought. So they liked the fact that I broke stuff all the time, because in breaking things and putting things back together again, you can innovate, create things that nobody else is doing. And then I went to US Bank, built their threat and vulnerability team and their incident response team. I hated that job because I was depressed because it was so damn political, and that was just a shitty place to work then. They've gotten better. Then I went to United Health, deployed laptop encryption to like 46,000 laptops. And then I went to, where did I go from there? Oh, CISO for a public company called eLoyalty. And then I was recruited out of there from a previous boss to be the CISO for MGI Pharma, which is a pharmaceutical company, like a big one, $4 billion. And I love that job, and I would still be there today had they not got bought by a Japanese pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
The cool thing is my stock options vested, and then I started, FR Secure. And I just started FR Secure with, let's just do shit right. You just saw so many people not knowing what they were doing, not doing it right. And the reason why you knew that they didn't know what they were doing was because the thing you're doing, I'd already broken before. I'd already broken that and put that back together again. I know that's not how it works, but you also don't want to, you got to keep your ego in check, a lot. You don't want to be the guy that's done everything, because I certainly haven't done everything, but I've broken a lot of shit over the years. And I'm grateful that I broke the shit, because I wouldn't know how things worked.
Do you think that, we have, our stories kind of have this winding road, right, to get to there, and a lot of time passing. Do you think that we're in a place right now where that's like people don't understand that? Like, is that even how it works anymore? Like this idea that you out of school, you still have years to get to the place, to get the experience and the connections and the whatever to get to the place you want to be. Are people expecting to just come out of school?
It very, very, very much applies. We've got this mentality in, hey, cutie pie. We got this mentality, and not just in our industry, but in our community, in the world, of this instant gratification. And we like to we either make things overly complex or we oversimplify. Like, okay, so I go get my 4-year degree. I should then expect a 6-figure job on the other side of that.
Right.
And that's not reality.
You still have to start at the beginning, right? You still have to start. Nobody can go from A to Z.
Well, the thing with post-secondary, right. And the thing with post-secondary education is every college is doing it different.
Yeah.
Every university is doing it different. There's no one way to train or get somebody a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
They're all doing it different. And so some schools are good, I think. Some schools are not good. What we found generally is when somebody comes out of school with a degree, we have to untrain them because it's very, very academic and it's not practical.
It's all theory, nothing in practice.
And even some of the academics are incorrect.
Is that changing?
No, not fast enough, because the people that are teaching are often not practitioners. They maybe were practitioners for a while, and then they went into teaching. And so they've lost, this is the way it actually works in the real world today. So, if I wouldn't hire your instructor in my company, I wouldn't hire you.
Yeah.
Not without some other things that we'd have to do together.
That's one thing I will say about the 10-month program I went through is there was the lecture, and then for every lecture there was the practical, and we all had virtual machines, and so we had to practice whatever it was that we were learning. I thought that was pretty good. But back to the college thing, do you think a 4-year degree is necessary? What about
do I think it's helpful? Maybe.
when I'm looking at a resume and I see like a 4-year degree in tech or cybersecurity or something, it all it really tells me is that there was enough desire to go that route that's what you chose and you've completed it. It tells me nothing about what your skill level is actually going to be or where you're going to be at. So like it's nice to see that, because then you're like, okay, they committed to a path, but I'm still going to hire based on the intangible things, the other things. I don't really care about your degree. I care about getting you in because you match, you're a fit for the company, and you can prove from there what direction you want to go. We provide plenty of opportunities to get certifications, and it's up to, we just interviewed this guy the other day, and one of the things I said to him is that it's on, like, you can go wherever you want to go here, and only you can prevent it. If you don't take advantage of the opportunities that we're willing to invest in you to get to learn, to be a part of projects, to have that hands-on experience, like, it's all in your hands at that point. Like, you're not going to just be handed it, but you have plenty of opportunities. But it really doesn't have a lot to do with just the degree.
Yeah.
When you're looking at those resumes.
Sadly, I wanted to hit on that practical thing, because sadly, and there are college, that's the thing. You're taking a gamble from a hiring manager perspective on what the practicals were, and were they good practicals, right? Because you have some colleges where their practicals are, here, install, these hacker tools and hack some shit. Well, for me, that's dangerous. I don't want you. You need to understand all the things that go into that before you get to that, right? Do you know how TCP/IP works? Do you know what functions, what things are going to be sent over the network when you click that button? And what are you going to do when things come back different? It's so much more than, I can run, various hacker tools in a lab versus what you can do in the real world.
Gotcha.
But again, I don't know about because I think there are some schools that do a very good job at the basics, the fundamentals, before we ever get to actually using this stuff and applying it. But I think most, if I were to guess, most just go right to the tools.
Yeah, and I would say my experience with that was that it was a mile high, a mile wide, and an inch deep.
Which is awesome, because then it helps you put things into context.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah. And Jordan, you were talking about when you look at resumes. So if you look at a resume and you see somebody with a 4-year degree versus a 2-year degree, does that impact your judgment of that person?
The funny thing is that, just like Evan was alluding to earlier, is sometimes I feel like the more certs and stuff they got ahead of time, the higher the price tag they want. And I'm just not there with their skill set yet. I mean, it might earn them an interview. It might earn them not an interview, because I'm hiring for an entry level. And if I'm going to waste my time interviewing someone who wants, 6 figures out of the box,
right,
I'm going to say, you certainly can get there, but that's not what I'm hiring today. I'm right. Hiring. I need to get to a place where I understand your skill sets first.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, I've had.
There's 3 things you need in this industry if you want to be good: intangibles, knowledge, and experience. And so those are 3 buckets that you're going to have to fill. If you don't have the intangibles, meaning, you're honest, trustworthy, a person of integrity, I'll help you get fired, not hired. But I think most people think they have that. But make sure you have that. And then the knowledge, it's reading things, it's trying things. The experience, that's the one that just takes time. You're going to have to start entry level. You're not going to come out. I mean, it's really rare, and it's probably a disservice to everybody if you come out of college and you're seeking a senior position, because you're just not a senior person. I mean, that takes time. 5 years, 10 years, maybe more.
we run into that in the community because I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I need to hire somebody. If you know anybody, point them in my direction. And then, if I know somebody that is looking for a job, then I'll say, hey, this person's hiring. I don't know if there's a fit, but you might want to try. And the feedback that I usually get is the people are typically looking for a lot of money and it doesn't fit the job. The salary they want doesn't fit the job. I see that. I mean, I've seen that happen quite a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people, you just have to have this candid conversation with people so that they set their expectations appropriately. If you didn't have any expectations, then you won't be disappointed.
Right.
That's just how it works. And if you have unrealistic expectations, you're guaranteed to be disappointed. So who's going to tell you the truth that it's a hell of a lot of work to get into any industry, not just this one?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be a CPA, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be, it takes time. And if you want to and you see yourself as being, because you can, because there's just this unrealistic, like, I can hack this, I can hack that. I'm super elite, man. I'm awesome. And you start telling yourself that and you're like, I'm worth this. And then you go out to the job market and ain't nobody paying you that.
Right.
And worse yet, if somebody did pay you that, shit, now we got a problem because you're not worth it. I mean, it's not that you're not awesome. You're not a great person. It's not, it's nothing about the quality of you as an individual. It's what can you do for me?
Is that maybe part of the problem? Are there companies out there that are just throwing money at stuff like that? Like you had brought up in your past, Evan, that someone was paying you to be the vCISO and you weren't really doing much, but they're like, we just needed a vCISO. We just needed a CISO. And so we're paying you money. Like, are there companies that just hire someone to have that person, that spot filled, and they're not really even sure?
Yeah. The article that I put in our chat, it's a blog post I wrote. It's why the cybersecurity job market is a total shit show. And it touches on that because it's on both sides of the equation, on the demand side and on the supply side. There are a lot of people that are going out to market for specific, for talent that don't know what they're actually looking for. They think they know what they're looking for, because maybe they copied a job post from somebody else, or they think that it's super important. Like, if I need these 10 things done, that you have to have a CISSP to do that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Why would I want a CISSP? Well, you know where they're coming from. They have a base level of knowledge. At some point that they had enough knowledge to pass an exam that tested that knowledge. That they probably have a good understanding of information security in context because it was a mile wide and an inch deep, which is a super important skill. I love pen testers that have done the CISSP because their pen testing piece, they understand how that fits into the bigger puzzle. So, but those are the reasons for the CISSP. Maybe a CISSP would be nice to have on my staff too, in case I need more credibility, right? I can tout that I've got CISSPs, but a lot of people are going to the market and looking for things and they haven't answered those questions. They put that they want a CISSP just because everybody else is asking for a damn CISSP. It has nothing to do with the value that they're going to provide to the company. So you've got it on the demand side. They don't know what they're hiring for. They don't have, how many times have you walked into an organization and they haven't, like, one of the fundamentals in building an information security program is that you have roles and responsibilities figured out.
Yeah.
Most organizations don't have that figured out. So then you're going to go out to the market to hire somebody when you don't have any role specifically defined, and the role that you did specifically define didn't come from your security program. It came from a job posting that you copied from somebody else.
Yeah.
And you expect this to work. Your responsibilities. What are the responsibilities that this person is actually going to do? And are they tied to providing value to the business, or are they just more buzzword bullshit? So there's culpability on both sides of this equation where we need to be much better at, because you're just frustrating the shit out of the talent that's in the market, much better with what specifically I'm looking for, how it's going to provide value, how you can meet that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a lot clearer. I would be a lot clearer then for people that want to get in this market. Like, oh, if I do these 10 things, I'm almost guaranteed to get hired. If we were more specific on the demand side and we could name those things to get you hired in this position, yes, you meet these things, you will get hired.
Yeah.
But we still suck at that.
I have a young kid, 24, 25. He reached out just knowing what I was doing. He's like, I want to get into cybersecurity. And I was like, okay, just calm down a little bit. But he didn't go to college. He went in, he's an electrician. That's what he did right out of high school, which is good, right? And he put together a computer for my son. He built his own computer, and there was a couple other people he did it for. So he's got some experience there. But, what I told him is that to expect a cybersecurity job right out of school, because he's not going to a 4-year degree, he's doing the 2-year degree, you've got to have realistic expectations. And I think just knowing how much I struggle because I didn't come up through and I don't have the technical experience, I thought, getting a job in the technical realm will help you then build your career to get to a security position. You think that's good advice, or should I have directed him in a different way?
I think it's good advice. There's no one way.
Yeah.
There's just not. And there won't be for a very long time, if not forever. The reason why I have one way with like accounting, for instance, is you have to have your CPA to be a CPA. We're quite a ways away from that still in this industry. I love the fact that he was an electrician, because an electrician it's breaking shit, it's fixing shit, it's all those things that I just mentioned. That translates really well, because I think you also have this misunderstanding that I'm not technical enough to get in this industry, or I don't have technical skills.
Right.
We need training and awareness. We need governance. We need leadership. We need all these other things that don't require shit for technical skills.
I think people are looking for complementary pieces. I think there's people, depending on the situation, they need their Robin to their Batman. And for me in particular, I do have some tech chops, but I don't have it to a level that a lot of other people have. If I were looking to partner with someone, let's say I was starting a new consulting business, and I wanted Robin to me because I'm Batman. I would be looking for someone with more technical chops than me. That's what I need. I can talk security, information security. I can help consult. I can talk about risk. I can do all this stuff. But where my weakness would be is to actually put the rubber to the road on the technical configurations, building the tech pieces that then do the things that they're supposed to do. So I would be looking for that complementary piece. I wouldn't be looking for someone just like me. I'd be looking for that. And so I think that's a good thing to consider, is in the CISSP kind of helped, to your point, Evan, like understanding all these pieces, where the pen tester fits in it and all this. So you understand all the different domains and stuff. If you understand where your passion lies in that, and you find a company that needs that piece, I think you're golden,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And see yourself, it's just like anything else. When you go back to the market thing, what's going to differentiate you in the marketplace? Why is somebody going to choose you over them? It is competition. And if it is, and you are truly convinced that this is your place, that you want to be an auditor, that you want to be a compliance specialist, you want to be a privacy specialist, you want to be a pen tester, whatever it is, then focus on it.
Yeah.
And don't half-ass it. Make yourself the best you can be. If you're looking for ways to build skill sets, break shit, fix shit, as much as you possibly can, because those are all going to be things that you're going to be able to demonstrate to a hiring manager. You want to impress them. You want to show them how you are the best fit for this position. You don't need a college degree for that. But what you do need is some justification that you can prove that you can do it. You know what I mean? So build a portfolio. If you're a pen tester, open up a GitHub repository and start creating some cool ass tools and showing people what you can do. Because I can see that and it's like, oh, damn, that was smart what this guy did. I want him, or this lady, or this whoever, right?
That's brilliant. I mean, even if it's just documenting it, you were messing around with something, and if you can bring to an interview this idea, like, here's something I did, here's what I learned from it, like if you are prepared enough to talk about the actual experience and lessons learned and all this stuff, whether it's something you built and you can show it but I think you could even get simpler than that.
Yeah.
I took apart a computer, put it back together, it didn't work, and you start explaining to them the actual application that you've learned and stuff.
Imagine how powerful that would be if you show up to an interview with a portfolio.
Right.
So here are some of the things that
versus
I've done,
just a degree and saying, here you go.
Yeah.
Pay me. Pay for my debt, my student loans, please.
Right.
So in all of those things, that was just one idea of a way that you could set yourself apart.
Yeah.
Again, going back to, I'm going to the market because I have a need for something. And so I'm shopping and I come across like, wow, this one looks really cool. How much does that one cost? Oh, it's that. Not only does it fit all the things that I need, but it's also got some added features I didn't think about before. A reasonable price. Yeah, I'm buying,
And I would say, if you want to get into the industry, because, right now there's lots of talk, you can make tons of money in cybersecurity. But if that's your motivator, it's probably not the right job for you.
Right.
Just because what I hear from you guys is it is a difficult industry and there's high levels of burnout, right? Or am I imagining that? So,
no, not at all.
If you don't have that why, we talk about that in the CvCISO program all the time. Like, you got to understand your why. And Evan, you mentioned that. And your why is because I want to make a lot of money. You might want to rethink.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with money,
Yeah.
I think it's just a shallow purpose that when it's pushed to the edge and you run into those hard times, it's going to lead you to sell out versus sticking to, an initial true motive. Because there's tons of money to make in this industry. And I think if you're in this industry for the right reasons, which is to provide value, it's to protect people, it's to serve people. If you're in the industry for that reason, be a billionaire. Make as much money as possible. That's totally cool. You made the money the right way. If you make money in this industry by taking advantage of people, selling them things that they don't need, it doesn't work, over-promising. Yeah.
I like the fact
I don't
that,
want you in this industry.
When I started working at Security Studio, our tagline is, we fix the broken industry. And I've always been very, in education, just passionate about helping the children, right? And I appreciated the fact that we had this mission that we were on and really working towards, which, whether or not we even accomplish it, who knows if it can be accomplished in this decade, or what do they call it when it's longer than a decade?
Longer than a decade.
There you go.
No,
it's longer.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing about purpose, is it's your hill to die on.
Mm-hmm.
Will I make it to the top of the hill? No, maybe, but it's worth dying on. And the people that come after me, they can continue the path up the hill.
Yeah.
And then you can look at my dead body and go, poor guy.
And I think that the money will be there, and you might get there faster than you think. And maybe you'd be better off served finding the right organization to be a part of. Because if you're in the right organization and your value continues to go up, they'll take care of you, and they're going to want to keep you around, or look for another place, I guess. But that's I think it's better to be in an organization that you can be proud of.
Is there a certain level of aptitude that's important?
Aptitude for
Well, just, basic intelligence. Like, is there, I mean, it's not easy. When I was in that boot camp, like there were many things where I was just like, whoa, this is, intense. But I had enough stick-to-itiveness and enough intelligence that I was able to get through it successfully. But I don't, sometimes I wonder, like, could just anybody do this?
No. I mean, depends on what this is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the industry is so broad and there's so much, there's a place, I truly believe that there's a place for everybody
Yeah.
in this industry, but some pen testers, some people that want to be pen testers will just never be good pen testers. You just don't have it in you to be that. Or, like CISO, if everybody wanted to come into this industry and be a CISO, some people just wouldn't make it.
I also think I have somewhat of a contradictory opinion on that. I think you're probably right. When people kind of figure out that they're not that, though, might not be at the beginning, you might have to sit with it for a while, because thinking about even like the boot camp, you can't cram stuff into someone's head on this topic. It's so broad, and there are some complexities to it. But you can't go to a boot camp and come out an expert. You got to sit with it for a while. You got to be around it for a while. And that's something only time can do. So you expose yourself to this stuff for long enough, and then you start picking up on the things that that maybe then is what helps you understand maybe what you were naturally gifted towards, or where your natural passion comes. But that's not going to come in a boot camp. That's not going to come even in school. They're going to try to teach you a bunch of stuff, but like, you're going to come out of that still needing to spend some time understanding where your career and where you're going to go. Like,
I know when I got done and I was starting to think about interviews, I was very intimidated by that. Like, I felt like I'm going to get in these interviews and they're going to ask me some technical question, and I'm going to look at them like, I really don't know. And I don't know what you're talking about. And I really believe that the stars aligned for me in the job that I did get, because it happened to be, I knew somebody, and there weren't many people I was able to network with because I hadn't been in the industry. So I just happened to know this guy. And, I really feel like the stars aligned.
Yeah, there's definitely that too, right? You can do all the right things over and over and over again and still find yourself not there. Or the other way around, when that's the thing about purpose for me. That's why it's so important, because when I feel like I'm serving my purpose, there ain't no stopping me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm tired, but it's my purpose. That's why I'm here. It also helps you deal with burnout. When you do feel burnt out, it's like, what's the sense in doing this anymore? I mean, there's times when you're going to ask yourself that. It comes back to purpose. It doesn't mean you don't take a break. It doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself mentally and just, you can't drive forever, but it does get you through those tough times. Like when I mentioned when I took down the Defense Department, I wanted to quit. I wanted to hide. I wanted to just not exist anymore for a while, because it was so embarrassing. It was so much pressure. Everybody's yelling at you. How do you get through that? And that's not the only time. I've definitely broken more things over my career than I fixed. But then it builds you for like incident response. So now when you're in an incident response and everybody's freaking out, you're like, it ain't so bad. We'll be fine. Keep your head about you.
Yeah.
That's the career, right? I mean, that's the path. So breaking in, getting your first position, you can't be choosy. It's like my kids, Meg, you and I have kids that were trying to get off their ass to get jobs. And they're like, but I don't want to do that. I want to be, CEO.
Yeah.
No, you're going to have to do really dirty work to start out.
Exactly.
You're going to have to be the person who takes out the garbage, who fills the coffee machine. You can complain all you want. The people that aren't going to complain about doing the dirty, shitty work are the ones that are not going to get promoted, and you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So suck it up, do the work that nobody else wants to do, be the junior, swallow your pride. That humbleness is going to serve you well as you continue through your career. But just get into the industry. Help desk, do anything.
One of our more recent hires, in the interview, when we were asking what questions they had for us, he one of his questions was, what questions would you ask if you were me? Which I thought was a very interesting question. And I thought about it and I said, you know, only you can really speak to what your question would be. But what I might say is, if you have a goal, someplace you want to be in your life or in your career down the road, I would ask me, how, with this, if I come on board here, how can I get there? Is there a way, what do I need to do in this organization to get to this place?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know where you want to go, a great thing to say would just be, what are the best ways to grow here and to move through and up and gain more skills and more, opportunities. Like that kind of energy and that kind of a question to me is what I want, is what I'm looking for. I don't care where I start in your organization. I'll take the entry-level help desk. Help me understand how I can get farther. What's the time frame? What do I need to do? Because I'm hungry to do it. That's an intangible you can bring.
Yeah, I like that. Well, good episode, Meg. This was a good topic. I appreciated it. Yeah, it's good for us as people that have been in this industry for a while too to think back to these things, because it's easy to forget sometimes how you got here.
Yep.
And then you have a tendency, I think I do anyway, have a tendency when I forget how I got here to take it for granted. And that's a dangerous flow.
Yep. All
right. So next week there's no Meg. Next week it's me and Jordan, unsupervised.
I'll be snowmobiling up north. Hopefully there's enough snow to snowmobile.
But we'll check in with you live while you're.
Yeah, I wish while I'm on the sled. Yeah.
Is that the face you make when you're?
Yeah, right. When I'm going across the lake, trying to get it up to 80 miles an hour, Wait, I do want to say, if they want to see or read your post, Evan, just go to evanfrancine.com and then do a search for job market.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hopefully
you'll find some value. And I'm always open to, I think all three of us are open to challenge, debate, discussion, your perspective. So, I encourage you to share it, because it just makes all of us better.
Challenge us.
Amen.
All right. Good episode, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.